Flatwork Kings, support, learn, and grow. And that is the mission. Welcome aboard, everyone. Welcome aboard to another episode, another success highlight episode here. And today we have a special guest, Mr. Ben Bass. We did have a little bit of a chaos trying to get all the tech figured out here, but we finally made it here. Excited to have Will once again, the founder of Flatwork Kings. And again, my name is Danny Barrera, for those of you that don't know me. But I'm excited here for this conversation. And I know a lot of people are looking forward to this one as well, Ben. So, Ben, that being said, go ahead, give it to us, man. Tell us your name, where you're from, the name of your company, and just introduce yourself for us.
Sorry about that. Yeah, guys, thanks for having me. My name's Ben Bass. I'm the owner of Ben's Concrete Creations. We're based out of Blairsville, Georgia. We, as of the last couple of years, started specializing in decorative concrete. I grew up as a concrete finisher. My dad was a concrete contractor. And I started seeing what people were doing with decorative concrete, and my jaw just stayed on the ground. And I fell in love, man. And I knew that's what I wanted to do. So the last few years, we have been in a serious pursuit to try and jump into that arena. And it's been pretty incredible so far. So
Yeah. And looking at all your work, I got to say, I admire your work. You're a passionate guy, and not only that, but you're actually another flatworking that actually sees the value in investing in himself, because there's nothing more important, in my opinion, than to be weaponized as a business owner, entrepreneur, as an actual king, to be able to lead a company and do what you do. So I want to commend you for that, and also say, man, you're doing amazing work there. One question I got for you is that I know you started with your dad, right? But how long ago was that? Like, what was that like growing up in concrete, man?
yeah, so some of my first memories were actually maybe 5, 6 years old, out on the edge playing around on a mag. And throughout different parts of my life, I was more involved in concrete than in some areas. I would go years without being around it. But yeah, that always stuck in my mind. Being on the job, I just thought it was cool. To see a pile of gravelly, stuff come out of a truck and to what you can manipulate it and do with it. I was just always infatuated with it at a young age. My dad, he was a phenomenal concrete finisher, but he was also an incredible businessman. And a lot of that had to do with how well he was with people. I mean, he had a way of making everyone feel special, which contributed to why he was so successful at being a concrete contractor. That just goes back to, it's doing the job is one thing, but knowing how to go about doing the job is a completely different area. And those are the two sides that we've got to focus on. Anyways, that's, my dad was a pretty hard guy to work for. He was tough on me, but now that I'm older, I really appreciate the way that he was with me. It instilled work ethic and value and, a lot of characteristics and morals that I still carry on with me today. So,
that's cool.
Yeah, it was a cool journey. So,
yeah. So you're from Blairsville, and that is on a map in Georgia. For those of us that may not know exactly where Blairsville, that's north of Atlanta, a little ways.
Yeah, so that's 2 hours north of Atlanta. And just to backtrack, I'm originally from Florida. I came up here when I was 12 years old and went back and forth. But so Blairsville is in the North Georgia mountains. If you land in the Atlanta airport and drive north 2 hours, you'll start getting into the mountains. And we're about 15 minutes from North Carolina and 20 minutes from Tennessee. So like right here in the tri-state area.
So what's your work radius like? You've obviously, a lot of people who are watching probably followed your journey for the last few years, but even more recently, I mean, it seems like every job is on a mountaintop, a custom home. How are you finding these jobs, or what have you done to really kind of get in the door with some of these? Are they builders that you're working with, or homeowners directly, or what's that look like for you?
Yeah, so those are good questions, and just to kind of touch on that a little bit, we are shying away from builders, contractors. Nothing against them, but with decorative concrete, it invites another new set of opinions that can sometimes separate the contractor and the homeowner's vision. You basically have someone with a different outlook on things. And not only that, but, a lot of contractors, they call and need stuff done, next week or within a couple of weeks. And as most of us in business, we like to know what our schedule is, what our revenue is going to be, and basically have a plan based on that and not wait on the next phone call. So,
Yeah.
But to go into the other part, Will, we are very blessed to live where we do. We have two things here that I believe contribute to high-end clients. One is we have lakes in all of our surrounding counties, and two, we have incredible views, right? So you put those two together and you're going to have people that come here that most of our clientele it's their second, third, or fourth home. So.
Oh, wow. That's cool. So to kind of parry a little bit off of your statement about contractors and builders, I mean, I know I've noticed that myself a little bit. You have sometimes, maybe you were alluding to this, but maybe a builder has a limited vision of what's possible with concrete, or the opposite effect maybe than what you're hoping for. They might try to dictate where you're going to put a saw cut, or just little things like that might affect the way your job comes out. Is that kind of what I see? You're nodding your head a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've dealt with all of that, but the fact of the matter is, a contractor, just like us, they are very passionate about what they are doing. They are building a home that they want to show off, they want to be proud of, and I get it. I respect that. But at the end of the day, this is not their home. It is the homeowner's home. So now what we've run into is we have a homeowner's opinion on what they want, but this contractor is trying to build a high-end home that he can show off through his vision. So a lot of times it contradicts each other. And that's just what we're starting to learn. Maybe there's ways around this. Maybe there's something coming up in Flatwork Kings mastermind event, February 5th and 6th, that can teach us how to deal with stuff like that. But, so that's some of the stuff we're running into.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. So this past year anyways, though, you really dived into some pretty unique projects, it seems like. And that might, you and I have been talking for years, and it seems like you've kind of always been on the hunt for what might be comfortable, to make a living on, and then what might be really neat to take on. And, there's always that juggling act, right?
Yeah.
So I think all of us go through that, but what this year particularly, I mean, did anything take away from, what your goals were for the year, or was most of it right in line with what you thought you wanted to be doing?
Yeah. So, this last year, speaking of 2021, I was very focused on improving our craft in all genres of decorative concrete, right? Because we're just getting started. And I mean, a few days ago was starting our 5th year in business, right? So
wow.
We are fairly new, but we are definitely new in the decorative concrete arena. So, this last year, man, I jumped on any opportunity that I could to create something unique to, whether it was vertical or countertops or epoxy or staining or intricate saw cuts. I mean, I just was like I said in the beginning, man, I just fell in love with it. I was passionate about it. And sometimes, this last year, I kind of let that control me a little bit, but at the end of the day, we were able to accomplish things far more than I expected. This year in 2022, the goal, the vision has changed a little bit based on us being able to accomplish what we set out to do. And so what I mean by that is now we've got some notches on our belt. We know how to do a lot of these different applications. And along with that comes knowing how to charge properly. So, there's a difference from wanting to do stuff like that and then being paid, in an area where that you can deliver something that it's got to be worth it, or we're going to keep doing these production things and making sure that our revenue is where we want it to be.
Gotcha. So maybe some supplemental stuff that's not as exciting, just on, keep the candle lit, so to say, but otherwise try to continue to go after the decorative stuff, just ask a higher, maybe a higher price for some of those different applications. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, and just learning where numbers need to be based on how
Mm-hmm.
long things take. It's doing anything new. I mean, you're basically kind of guesstimating how long. Now, if you tell me that we've got a 30 or 40-yard driveway, we got to go in and set up and pour it, I know how long that's going to take. I know where our numbers need to be. But when we're going in and we're doing, custom stacked boulders on a fireplace, and there's a lot of, it's a learning experience, just like any other business part, where
Yeah.
you got to learn that stuff. So we did that, and I'm proud of what we were able to do in 2021. But we've got new eyes and a new outlook based on our last year's experience.
So what for other guys that are gals that are watching, you and your wife are kind of partners, or you guys are pretty much working side by side every day, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And
Absolutely.
and that's not unusual for a lot of small businesses, husband and wife to be teaming up on different things. But Brittany seems like she's really involved, maybe at a level that is rare in this business. You guys seem to kind of both take an interest in the artistic side, which is kind of cool and unique.
Yep.
So who does the selling, and what's your process look like when you're trying to show somebody what's possible? Are you showing them pictures of your own jobs that you've done, or are you using brochures? What how do you start scratching the surface when somebody wants a 3-story stacked fireplace, custom carved and everything? They just kind of give you artistic license on that.
Those are the best ones. The people that are like, you know what? I know you guys are going to do a good job. Just, this is kind of what we're wanting. You got creative freedom, go for it. But, that's a great question, Will. I mean, that was a tough thing when we first started doing stuff like this. So I would reach out to, just to throw some names out, maybe Emil Guerra or Bob Harris, or someone that they did a job, and I wanted to do that. I would reach out to them, politely compliment their work, and ask them if they mind me showing this potential customer one of their projects. And I was always upfront about with that potential customer that, hey, this is something that, I feel confident we can do. What do you think about this? So the problem with that is you and I can go back and forth with pictures for 6 months on things that, we both like, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that person is going to like what we like. Right.
Yeah.
So now what I've learned to do is I ask them to go to Google and just simply type in stained concrete floors and go on there and click on images, and you can literally scroll for 3 weeks, dude. I mean, just all kind of different stuff. Find a couple things you like, and then let's talk about what your options are. That's going to let me know what your style and your flavor is, and that's also going to kind of let me know what I can build off of. Instead of me showing you all these pictures, we can get right down to business with what you want.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, what do you think your biggest application was in 21? Was it working with stain, or your like the medium you found yourself working with the most? Was it engraving or epoxies? Or I know that just from
I
what I've seen, it was all over. It was about just about
exactly.
everything that.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. Like if I could have sat down and written out what I wanted to do throughout a year, 2021 was it. Like we literally went from one genre to the next. It was crazy how we just went right from one crazy project right to another. And man, what a blessing that was. I mean, it
Yeah,
was I just, like I said, I couldn't have planned that any better for things that I would enjoy doing. I am a adrenaline junkie. I love the challenge. I love the can we do this, man? I think so, but we're gonna definitely give it all we got. And luckily there's
yeah,
people in the industry that are willing to help us out, and we can reach out to for support.
yeah. And
So
I remember you just built your garage probably in the last 3 years, anyways. That I've been talking to you, right? Your
yeah.
kind of your pseudo shop, and you had started to do some samples there. Have
Mhm.
has that grown a little bit? Do you have you made some more samples around your house that you just enjoy doing, or have you kind of reverted back to like you said, having people make their own inspiration board and kind of just building you a little bit of a palette that shows what they're interested in?
So I am a huge advocate for doing mock-ups and samples. So the picture that you guys shared of our crew, we did that compass, and a lot of times I will have ideas for stuff, and then I walk away and ask myself, what the hell is wrong with me, dude? I don't know how to do this, you know? But what that does is it challenges me to go back and figure it out. So for an
Yeah.
example, we came up with this design for the compass, and I said, man, how cool would it be to turn this blue into rippling water, and they're like, I'm all excited. They're all excited. And I walk away and I'm like, holy shit, dude. Like, how am I going to pull this off? So
Yeah.
went up in the shop and I got some samples, and I just went to town with an airbrush, and we eventually figured it out. And so, yeah, I mean, samples are huge. And we do have stuff around here. But it just depends on, I don't want to put a lot into my home and then us sell this or actually I would just rather spend time doing samples for the project if we have a committed client.
Okay. Okay. And right now, your team, is that you three right there? Is this guy work with you guys every day also, or as often as
Yeah.
you can?
Yeah, no, so that's Vic, man. He's been with us 2.5 years. He is his dad
Cool.
was a concrete contractor, so he is a mason since he was a kid. He's 54 years old, I think. Super
Yeah.
badass concrete finisher. Man, what a cool person. And
That's awesome.
yeah, so he helps us, and then we also have one more, Jared. He's been with us 4 or 5 months. So
Okay.
we've got a little tight knit crew right now, which is this kind of proves that doing stuff like this, you can't have too many people out there just doing all this stuff because it can become a disaster, obviously.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, but yeah, so we do have some plans this year to grow our crew, to maybe just stick with have a crew doing regular concrete. But yeah, to be doing stuff like this, man, you can't just have 8 guys out there just coloring and doing all this different stuff. It just doesn't work.
And you know as well as I do. I mean, I've seen you at just about every industry training there is, and to try to train people on your own staff, I'm sure is a challenge as it is. But it's sure nice when you have Brittany and one or two other people that you can kind of keep close to you, and you guys can train one another or share ideas or tips and tricks, and it's a little easier to manage the artistic side at that point. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's one thing if you got 2 or 3 people there and you guys are working on something, but what I've learned, especially with high end stuff or decorative stuff, you can't control every swipe of a trowel that someone does. You can't control every brush stroke. And so it gets really complicated having too many people like that. But yes, when you have a tight group of people and you can work right next to each other, it's nice. I like even numbers. I like to be able to break off into twos. That to me, we are the most efficient doing that. So, so say Brittany and I work together and we will show Vic exactly what we're doing, the technique, the style we're going for, and then we'll break off like that. And we have learned that seems to be pretty effective for us.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, yeah. It seems like there's always a good system that comes out of the woodwork when you work with your crew enough or long enough. Um, that's kind of special how those systems come out. I've been on jobs myself even where we'll be doing a swirl broom, and that's a finish that requires some uniformity from left
Sure.
to right, front to back. So
Yeah.
if you get too many different people out there with different styles, you stand back and you look at it and you go, "Oh,
Yeah.
man, it looks like we fell off our pattern a little bit."
Yep.
So I
Yep.
bet
For
that
sure.
that's crucial when it comes to staining or engraving. Really, anything you want a lot of that consistency. I'm sure.
Yeah.
But you guys obviously have a YouTube page, correct? Ben's
Yeah.
Concrete Creations.
Mm-hmm.
Has that helped a little bit? Have you noticed any homeowners finding you that way? Is that something you would suggest for other guys that are in your position?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Any exposure is good exposure, right? I mean, as long as you're putting out positive messages and positive outlooks and positive information, and
Yeah.
to me, it's a no brainer. I mean, we have all this free advertising right here at our fingertips. I mean, social media, YouTube, Google, all that stuff. You should be in people's faces. And what I've learned is that, you know so just to touch base on this, we don't go looking for clients, right? They are finding us. And
Good.
I am a huge advocate of putting stuff in people's faces. Now, just because we're doing a job for Mike and Donna down the road, they may not have seen our stuff, but when we boost posts, say we did a job that we're really proud of and we invest back into that, it basically in our whole area that is putting that project in people's faces, and they may not want it, but their aunt and uncle at Christmas dinner may have discussed, hey, we were thinking about getting concrete countertops. And, these people said, oh, I just seen these people do these countertops. They looked really cool. So we are huge, big into putting stuff in people's faces. It's right there. And when they're ready, it may spark an interest. They'll reach out to us.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a valid point. Just a simple picture out there, with a keyword of countertops alone, somebody might even only be looking to upgrade their countertops in general. Just maybe they don't even know concrete's an option yet. And then, see that, or they have a relative that sees it, that knows they have a kitchen project coming up.
Yeah.
Super valid point there.
Yeah, and
So it
just to
looks like,
touch on that a little bit, Will. So the countertops we just posted, I boosted them. I think I did 4 days at $25 a day, so it was $100, right? And we had over 15 inquiries, responses on that, asking us for pricing on countertops. So,
wow.
I mean, come on, it's to put $100 back into your business on something like that, something you want to do. I mean,
Yeah.
to me, there should be no second thought to that.
Oh man, that is awesome. So this is your page pulled up here. It looks like, are you pulling this up or is this Danny?
Man, I couldn't even get the
That's
headphones.
that's me.
That's
I'm just
good.
pulling it up for you guys.
That's awesome,
But
man.
I
That's
want to
good
say
stuff.
something that it helps out. Look, and here's the thing: he's coming from the marketing perspective. This is something that it's hard to educate the contractor to just get themselves out there and do it consistently and just be able to tell the story from their side, because for as much as you may want a marketing agency or marketing company to help you do all this stuff and do the storytelling, there's nothing like you putting yourself out there, like what Ben is saying, that
Yeah.
just helps you describe the projects in a better way. And he's done a terrific job. So is this the post that you were talking about here, Ben?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
you describe what the homeowner or the potential prospect is getting, and you see the engagement: 186, likes, 35 comments, 12 shares. And can you just repeat again what that looked like as far as response? How much did you invest into this post?
So I'm pretty sure it was $25 a day, and we did 4 days
Yeah.
of this post. Now I can tell what I looked for, right? So I'm pretty sure this was around New Year's. And so what I like to do now, you can post this and you don't have to invest any money in it at the time. But
Right.
say you're going to have a 3 or 4 day weekend and people are going to be hanging out and lounging around, boost. That's when you want people are looking at their phones, they're hanging out with friends and family, looking
Mm,
at TV. Put that stuff in their face when they're going to be sitting around relaxing.
love that.
Wow. Wow. That's
Very good.
impactful. That's some high quality, impactful stuff there, Ben. I,
Thanks.
and I just can't express how, proud I am to have known you through the last, 4 or 5 years also, just to see the growth on your end and you and Brittany's story unfold. Now tell us a little bit about your family life too. How many kids do you have?
We got 3 kids. I got 2 boys, a 14-year-old and a 9-year-old. And
All
then
right.
we got our little daughter Camber. She's 3 and she's a handful, but she's
It's
awesome.
always nice to have a little perspective for those of us at home that, like me, I'm a new parent. I always, I always skimmed over that in years past. I now I have a newfound appreciation for people that have kids at home. You got a family to run. you have schedules outside of just work, right?
Yeah.
So you and Brittany do a good job, I'm sure, of kind of sharing those responsibilities. I mean, for those people out there watching right now that are, you know, putting, fighting the good fight, raising a family, what kind of comments or lessons could you share on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just to try and balance that life, and that's something that I struggle with, and it's something that I really it's very important because you hear our elderly people and friends say, it's over before you know it. The next thing you know, they're adults, and when we're in the moment, we don't really necessarily realize that. But the older I get, the older they get. I can see that that's becoming a thing, and I don't want to spend all of my time on work and then look back, even if I am successful down the road and say, man, I really missed all that time with my kids. So, I think it's important to stay, whether they're in sports or music or, just make sure you're involved in their life. And, it's, like I said, it's tough trying to balance that, especially trying to build and run a business, but you've just got to make it a priority. And I am very grateful for Brittany and what she does. I mean, this house would fall apart if it wasn't for her. So
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, that's the case for many of us, right?
yeah.
So you had some posts or some interaction anyways from your community on the countertop post. Now, did you overall in a year, what do you say you're spending on Facebook ads like that? I mean, are you putting out, $3,000 in a year on ads, do you think, like that? Or what's a small business kind of like budget look like for a year?
Yeah, I mean, it would probably be a couple grand, but I can't, to be honest, Will, I'm not looking at this like I'm spending anything, because I'm not. I'm making money. I mean,
oh yeah,
it's just like, it's an initial spend. It comes out of your bank account, but I sell one job, and dude, it's like, I mean, if you're not making a couple grand off of a massive a big project, that you could sell even one a year. If you get one project a year out of it, it pays for itself.
wow. Yeah, that's pretty important stuff. I know a lot of guys, including myself, sometimes you can go weeks or months just kind of thinking, I'll get around to it, and no better way to get the phone ringing, or like you said, have people come to you rather than just putting yourself out there, like Danny said, whether it's an explainer video or something. I know that you do a lot of pseudo educational stuff too through your YouTube as well, right? You're kind of explaining the process, maybe educating customers through that process also. Is that correct?
Yeah, so the YouTube approach that I took was basically, there were several reasons I wanted to take one. One, if there's any questions, say we do the Smiths project and they wondered, hey, did they put rebar in that? I wonder if they put expansion up. Did they saw cut it? So basically they can go back and watch how their project unfolded. There's no questions there. Did they seal my project? All of that is in, proof is in the pudding on these YouTube videos. Secondly, if we have any potential, if we have somebody that wants to come and work with us and they're curious on what goes on in our day-to-day processes, hey, feel free to go look at our YouTube channel, watch some of them, and you can see how some of these projects unfold. Not only that, it goes back to what we talked about several times now, is you have potential customers that are Googling you. When they go and see some of the stuff that you do in the final outcome, if you have a professional appearance, they're more than likely going to want to go with you, even if you charge a little bit more than whoever down the road.
Yeah. And that content surely helps you, helps your name pop up if they do Google you, Ben's Concrete Creations, just on Google. Now you're showing up with videos, you're showing up with natural content, which I'm sure Danny could go on about, but just having sentences written out, that for the layman that's listening, that is original content, right? Just every little descriptive word that you put along with a video, down to what color of stain you used, what product it was, backlinks to the different manufacturers and different stuff like that, just all loops back to you, and it keeps your name right there on the forefront of that Google search.
Yeah, and I got a quick question for you, Ben, there. And how complicated is your video setup? Like, talk about your setup. How much do you actually have behind there, when you're recording these jobs and projects, etc., so everyone else can hear and see how you're doing it?
Yeah, so we were using a GoPro, and we still do in certain instances, but a lot of times, man, I just use my phone, or Brittany will use her phone, and it's a pretty simple process of us just thinking, hey, here's our next step coming up, let's record it, and not to backtrack, but another big thing to me is to try and help the next guys that are trying to learn this stuff. So YouTube has really taught me a lot, and I feel like kind of one of our ways of giving back is to help somebody else that may be running into some troubled issues, and if we can save them from that, that's going to make me really happy that we could help someone out without even knowing them. Yeah, and then so we get our videos, and Brittany does a phenomenal job at doing our YouTube stuff. And she usually does our Instagram reels and stuff like that as well. She's really talented with that. But yeah, she just does it on we have a Mac computer, and I think it's an iMovie. She puts all that stuff together on. So it's not really that complicated, believe it or not. You just, put a little time into it and you can figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. I highly encourage everyone. I mean, video is the number one consumed type of media online in the world, and more people are producing it by the hour more than ever before. So if you are at any point in time, anyone that's hearing this conversation, it will open up doors for you, and it will help you bring and attract not just clients but talent too, because they can go and see what you're producing out there. So that's very good, Ben, and
Yeah.
kudos to you and Brittany for just having the courage, because a lot of times it's just putting yourself out there, right? It's like, what are people going to say? Well, I don't look good or whatever it is, but just by the mere fact that you're putting yourself out there, that's the first and the toughest step to take. It's just doing it. Yeah.
No, you're right. I mean, you're making yourself vulnerable for sure, and you're always going to have people that have something to say. But I've realized that those people that have something to say never show anything. So,
Right.
Man, I have been very grateful to become friends with so many people in this industry, and they're all so supportive. Anybody who's anybody never will bash you. I mean, anybody who's anybody is going to help you. They're going to guide you. And they're not going to sit there and just talk crap about, one of your projects. So
1000%.
Yeah. Well, it looks like we have Travis here asking if you do any home or trade shows or any other type of local advertising.
So no, we don't have any trade shows here in the small town. But not that I know of, I've never even heard of one around here.
Okay.
So it would be cool to have one, and we would absolutely do it. I would love to go up and have, a fire pit and a countertop and just some different stuff. I think it would be fun and interesting. And I see Casey. I like your videos. Thanks, brother. Casey's an awesome person too, man. But anyways, no. So we don't, other than Facebook, I don't put anything in the newspaper. I hate to say this, but I feel like the newspaper is kind of a dying thing. Most of our clientele, I mean, maybe they read the newspaper, but it never fails. People have a screen in front of their face. I mean, you like I said, you put stuff in front of them like that, and you can't beat it.
Something I may add to that, in terms of the local, I guess, advertising world for us. And I'm sure this is available no matter what size town or city you're in, but we do a lot with like youth sports, just because kids teams, whether it's soccer, basketball, there's always a sport going on year round. And they love putting company names on those shirts. And it's like, I think we might spend like $800 a year on that kind of stuff. And we now have like 50, at the end of the season, they send you a plaque with all the kids wearing their Mattingly Concrete t-shirts, and those shirts just stay in the laundry pile for years. So when I just be walking through the grocery store and I'll see a kid with a little Mattingly Concrete basketball, just to throw over, jersey on or whatever. And it's just the cheapest. It's outside of Facebook and social media. It's one of those branding things that we continue to do. And I can't say that somebody has called me and said, "Hey, I just saw a little kid run by with Matty Lee Concrete on the jersey." But it's just kind of that branding and that
Sure.
awareness that keeps it at top of people's minds. So if there's any youth sports in your area, that's a cheap alternative. Also, that's something that we've done for years and years, and it's always worked for us. It just it's almost like a pen. It just stays in the kitchen drawer for years. After you give somebody a pen, it just stays.
Yeah.
It stays in their car cup holder, or it stays in the kitchen. It gets passed around. All those kind of things that just keep on giving.
Yeah.
So yeah. I don't want to sidetrack from that talk though, but that you've done a great job with your social media, Ben, and kudos to Brittany also for that. I mean, you guys keep it top notch.
Thank you.
It looks like we've got another question coming in. Do you run into situations that a customer doesn't seem like a good fit for you or your company? And how do you tell them you're not interested?
It's a great question, and absolutely. Yeah, 100%. So you hear people say all the time when you go and meet with someone, you're interviewing them to see if you want to work for them just as much as they're interviewing you to see if you want to do the job. It wasn't long ago I went and met with someone, and it wasn't 10 minutes into the conversation, he had mentioned for the second time that he was about to go to small claims court. Nice guy, but immediately red flags. I'm like, hold on, and so, that the hard part is telling them, hey, I don't think we're a right fit, but that's basically how you've got to do it. It's something that I get very personal in emails as far as like personable. I will write things out for them, like what our steps are. I like to sound, like not just send, a proposal and saying your project is going to be $10,000. I tell them what the process is. I don't do an itemized list, but I like to talk to them. I like to make them feel like I'm talking to them. I'm spending time with them and explaining what is going on. And we've been able to sell a lot more projects doing that. But if it doesn't seem like the right fit, then I just tell them it doesn't seem like the right fit.
Yeah. And that's just as important as selling as not selling sometimes, and steering your company. You only have, I'm sure you guys work year round, but for some of us in seasonal areas, it's even more important. You only have 45 or 50 weeks out of the year you can actually work, and
Right.
I think for anybody that values their time, you got to try to steer yourself away from those jobs that are going to take time and take, your peace of mind, or, not be profitable. And like you just said, kind of looking for those red flags can help you guide your company in the right direction, and lead yourself away from those unsavory, or sometimes impossible situations.
So just to touch on meeting people and estimating a little bit more. So we signed up with CreeQuote a little over a year ago, and it's an online estimate software. And that has been a huge time saver for us. It's, you got to go through there and basically set all your numbers up. But if we have someone that wants to set a countertops, they can go on. It's really cool. You can basically allow them to essentially build their own project. They can go on and pick the style of countertops. They can pick the style of edging. They can pick the sinks. They can pick any additional add-ons like geodes. Same thing with stamped concrete. They can add borders. They can add a fire pit. And that gives them basically a rough estimate of what their project will cost. And then, then we can take it from there. Either they're good with those numbers or they're not. And we've just ran into so many people that, and I know we all do, that you spend so much time and then, it's out of their budget, or they try and, talk you down. And so I just wanted to give a shout out to CreeQuote. They have been awesome for us. It may not be the best fit for everyone, but for us, it's been really good.
No,
It's interesting.
it's definitely worth it for those that are getting a lot of inbound leads and referrals, and it's a great system that lets you manage the leads, but also provide like an instant, ballpark quote, which is really good. So like what Ben said there, you can create campaigns, follow-ups, etc., give promotions afterwards. But it's a great system weed out those that are price shopping, and you don't want to have a salesperson call them back. And I mean, yeah, it's a lot
And
of
will you be at the World of Concrete also, Ben?
Yeah, so man, I'm super excited. We were contacted by Emil Guerra, and we will be a part of their team for Concrete Decor live out there, and we'll be
Great.
helping with some of the design and process, and hopefully not in the way too much. So
Oh yeah, right. So yeah, so for anybody watching, if anybody wants to catch up with you at the World of Concrete, check out Concrete Decor Live, and that's essentially where you guys are going to be on full display all day for a number of days, right? Working right in front of people as people are standing there watching your technique, what tools you're using, and all those kind of things, right?
yeah, that's exactly right. So there's some really talented artisans going to be there, basically performing all different genres of decorative concrete. So yeah, if you're out there, definitely stop by, and we'll look forward to seeing you.
awesome.
Looks like we got one more question here. Do you ever feel that you may lose out on jobs because people get sticker shock using Creek Quote before they've had a chance to talk to you?
Yeah, I do. But so the cool thing about Creek Quote is that you can click on details and see what the project is. And back to the beginning of our conversation, I get hooked on things I want to do. So if it looks like something that I wanted to do, you've got exposed aggregate borders, you've got, intricate saw cuts, you've got all this stuff, I will immediately contact them, so I'm going to reach out to them and be like, hey, look, sometimes these numbers generate things. There's a lot that is involved with terrain and access and things that it's hard to generate an exact price. So that's kind of my way to get my foot in the door to where I can go out and meet with them.
So you're able to follow up with those people after they've filled out that initial form and
Right.
picked what they want. Yeah, they may have a little sticker shock, but it allows Ben to actually, go in there and say, okay, I can reach back out to Mrs. Smith and make sure that she understands the nuances of the project, or maybe she can trim a couple little things and fit it in the budget.
Yeah. And, it's nice when you go meet with people because you're immediately building a reputation and kind of like a bond or a sense of trust. But at the same time, so there's different types of people in this world. I've learned, with everything, but especially with business. If you want to realize that there are people out there that will go to Walmart and they will buy $100 Ozark cooler, right? Works just fine. There's other people that cannot have that. They have got to have the Yeti, right? It's just something about the high-end stuff. There's people that, you can get a $200 purse or you can get a $2,000 purse, and there's people that have to have the high-end stuff. So the way that we have tried to approach this business is we are high-end decorative concrete. So if you want a branded company out there that is going to perform using the best high-quality products on the market, we're going to go and do your job. But if you're looking for people that are looking for the cheaper people, that's just something that that's not going to be us, and we're upfront about that.
That's powerful. Yeah, that's very powerful, and it's somewhat relieving and empowering at the same time that you can kind of say that and operate your business with that in the back of your mind, knowing that you don't need every job, not every customer is for you. And ultimately, that's what's going to protect your peace of mind and your bottom line, and I really like that. I really like how you've set that up for yourself.
Yeah, so that's, one concern with getting a bunch of employees. I don't know if we would necessarily be able to take that approach because now we have more people that we have to keep busy. So there's like a double-edged sword here with, I want to stay in the genre that we're doing now, but if we get another crew or more crews, that's a tough area that I haven't been able to figure out before we trek down that path.
Yeah. Obviously there's, there comes some necessity when you start to feed more people. You might find yourself taking on more what you consider standard concrete and what have you. But, for your setup right now, though, that's empowering to know that you're picking your jobs, you're choosing your jobs, the ones that are good for you, and the leads are coming to you. It doesn't get any better than that. That's the trifecta. You've got good marketing and you've got a good brand presence online, and speaking of which, how can people get a hold of you when this meeting ends today? You have at Ben's Concrete Creations on Instagram. Is that
Yep.
the best way?
Yeah, that any of our social media, I have a personal account on there, Ben Bass. I'm sure a lot of people watching this, we're probably already friends on there. I've befriended a lot of us in the industry, are all pretty tight, and it's, man, what an awesome group of people that our industry has. But yeah, you can reach out to me on Facebook, Instagram. Facebook would either be Ben Bass or Ben's Concrete Creations, and same for Instagram.
Cool. And you're going to be at the Flatwork Kings mastermind event also, right?
Wouldn't miss it, man.
Hey, so talk to us about that, man. Talk to us about your experience 2 years ago, Flatwork Kings. What difference has it made in your business?
So, I had mentioned this earlier, but there's two sides, the left and the right? There's how you do a job and then how you go about doing a job. And, I fell in love with how to do the job, but not how to go about doing the job until I realized that I needed to know how to go about doing the job so I could do the job and be efficient at it. So basically I've been years ago, but I reached out to Will. And I saw what he was doing with Flatwork Kings, and I was just blown away at his business sense and how savvy he was at being able to relay his knowledge on business. And so I kind of started, Will and I became friends, but man, I ended up realizing, hey, I need a mentor or some guidance to learn, how to go about doing this business. And not only did Will kind of become that, but when he created Flatwork Kings, I immediately gravitated to that. So, the more that we can understand business, the more that we can help out, our business in general, our employees, our future. And all that at Flatwork Kings was just, it was incredible, the knowledge that was there, and the camaraderie and the things that we took home in our arsenal of business was incredible. And we're going back again because there's just so much more that we need to take away from this.
Yep.
Thanks for those. Thanks for that testimony, Ben. I mean, it's reciprocal. I get out of this the same as you do, just networking with, awesome guys like you, Ben, and like you too, Danny. I mean, it's just the most gratifying thing. Not only do I work with good people here locally, obviously I love what I do also, but the real joy comes from these types of meetings right here through Zoom, just catching up, hearing what you're doing nowadays. And it's just been awesome to follow your journey and continue to see you guys grow and blossom down there, and just, yeah, taking it on, man, taking the bull by the horns. It's just so awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate
and meeting individuals like Ben, who are on the trenches, like Will, who are making it happen, who are growing exponentially, and discovering new ways, new avenues to deal with uncertainty that we've experienced in the last couple of years. And be able to do that and have a plan to guide your business and guide yourself. I think that's important. So the whole vision and mission of Flatwork Kings is support, learn, and grow. But most importantly, what makes this special, I think, is the mastermind. Is everyone coming together and spending 2 days, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, hanging out with guys. I mean, you can definitely go and shake hands with Ben, but he's going to be working at the World of Concrete. So I know he's going to take a picture with you guys. But there's nothing like spending hours and hours and hours talking about, intimate topics about business and matters that, you just don't feel comfortable in opening up, right, in public. So I think that's important. Ben, I want to hear from you. If someone's on the fence about joining us and coming out and hanging out with you, what would you tell them?
Oh, it's a no-brainer. I mean, so we are our biggest asset, right? You are not going to find anything else in life that you can invest in or save towards than putting back into yourself. It may be not, it doesn't feel great to spend money on something right away, but the return on investment that you get, one thing in life that can never be taken away from you is knowledge, right? So the more that we grow in all areas, financially, relationships. And really, I mean, just like I said, the people that you meet there, the things that you take away, the people that I still reach out to on a weekly basis, I'll have that for the rest of my life. I mean, it's just something that is, to me, again, a no-brainer. That's why I'm going back for the second time.
Second time. Love that. Thank you so much,
That's
Ben.
awesome, Ben. It's been a pleasure. It's been a real pleasure. And obviously, we're going to have our host there, Danny Barrera. He's got the energy. He's got the flow that we need to keep it going. And it's just, I can't wait. We're less than a month away now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, for those of you that aren't going to make it to the World of Concrete to see Ben, check him out at the Flatwork Kings convention.
Yeah, come and hang out with us. Will, are you going to have anything on contracts for notice changes, anything regarding that at Flatwork Kings? Are you going to be sharing anything regarding that?
Absolutely, yeah. We're going to have, obviously, the three brothers, the trifecta coming out from I-80 Concrete in Iowa. They're all three going to be touching on how they run their contracts, communicate with their customers, do change orders, and those types of things. I'm also going to try not to fill too much time with my own self, blabbing on, but I do have a lot to share on contracts as well. And yeah, I mean, it's going to be, you name it, from estimating all the way down to, figuring your bottom line and figuring out how to better your profit, better your peace of mind, spend more time at home and doing things you love, and get your business working for you.
Beautiful. You heard it from the king himself, Mr. Will Mattingly, founder of Flatwork Kings. Another king, Mr. Ben Bass. Hey, thank you so much for your time, Ben. Had a great time together. And gentlemen, we'll be seeing everyone here in a couple of days with another success highlight. But if you could do me a solid, if you enjoyed this interview, go ahead and tag Ben. Let him know how much you appreciate his time and his willingness to share what's working for him. But until next time, guys, go ahead and go to flatworkkings.com and register today. Have a great rest of your
Thank you, guys. See y'all.
All right. See you, Ben.